Hello students, welcome to the e-learning program initiated by Sri Gyananjali Vidyapeeth for the students of Standard 8. Once again, nice to see you in today's social science lecture for semester 1. Well, earlier in social science, we have learnt the first chapter that was given to us related to history, that was the arrival of the Europeans. So today we are going to begin a new chapter, the second one, which is related to the environmental studies, or if I say geography. So as you can see the name being displayed on the board, the name of the chapter itself is a question. What is around us? Now what do we mean by say what is around us? Here we are asking a question, what is around us, related to what is this entire place or the place where we live in, that is the earth, made up of. So therefore the question has been asked, what is around us? What do you see around yourself? We see so many things. If you just have a glance around you, you will find out that you see the sky, the land, the water bodies, and many other such things where we live in. So therefore the question has been asked, what is around us? Well, this chapter is going to deal with the different parts of the earth that we live in, or what this earth is made up of. We'll get into the reading and understanding of the chapter given to us with the help of the introduction given to us, and try to introduce the parts of the earth with the help of the introduction. So have a look at the material that you have with you, or the thing that you have with you for reading content. In the introduction, a boy, Dhanvin, is roaming in the garden, and while roaming he is a very curious boy who is asking a question to his mother. So let's read. Dhanvin was roaming in the garden with his mother. So Dhanvin and his mother both were strolling, roaming in the garden. While walking, a question arose in his mind. So he was a very curious child, a child who used to make observation. So he must have observed, and he asked a question to his mother. The children are enthusiasts of learning new things. So Dhanvin asked his mother, what is land made up of? A good question at his age it was asked. That what is land made up of? He wanted to know that we stay on this land. So after all, what is the composition of the land? What is it made up of? A question came into his mind. Maybe the same question comes to your mind also, isn't it? Well, to this, mother replied by asking a counter question rather than giving a straight reply. If the mother would have simply given a reply that the earth consists of, or the land is made up of some substances, maybe he would have not understood very well. So here the mother is trying to reply, or replied the question to satisfy his curiosity, his understanding. Do you see the sun every day? So she is asking a question to his son. To this, naturally, the boy must have replied, yes, mommy, I see the sun every day. The sun too has a family which is known as solar family. So when the mother would have got the reply, we just assume this. Mother would have given a further elaborative answer to make you understand that the sun too has a family which is known as the solar family, or the solar system. Well, we have well acknowledged about this, that the solar system consists of the sun and the 9 planets earlier, and now we have 8 planets. Well, our earth is one of the members of the solar family. So what is this earth? The earth is one of the members of the solar family. What was the question asked by Dhanvin? What is land made up of? So naturally, in order to answer the question, what is land made up of, mother needs to explain to the child, tell to his son, that what is earth first of all, isn't it? Directly maybe she would have not been able to answer Dhanvin's question by saying what is the composition of the land, or what is it made up of. Therefore it was necessary for mother to tell Dhanvin that we live in one of the members of the solar family, that is the planet Earth. Therefore she said our Earth is one of the members of the solar family. the most important point is that only Earth among all the members of the solar family has got suitable temperature, water, air to sustain living beings. So you see, the necessary parts have been highlighted, underlined for you to know that these are very important sentences that you should remember. So, Earth among all the members of the solar family, there are 9 planets. As of now, we recognize 8 of them. The planet Pluto has gone far away from us. So we say the Earth plus its 8 planets. So our Earth is one of the members of the solar family and it is the most important. It is the most important planet. Why? Because it is the only planet as of now which has living creatures inside. There is no other planet where human beings can go and reside or live, or we do not have any instances or evidences of having life inside it, or where humans can live or exist over there. Yes, research is going on. Recently we have found evidences for having life on Mars. Well, Earth among all of the member family has got suitable temperature. That is very important thing to note now. That living creatures require a suitable temperature to live, isn't it? We all need a suitable temperature to live. If it is too hot, we will not be able to sustain our life. Probably we will perspire, we will dehydrate, and probably we may die also. So we require suitable temperature to live. When it becomes very hot, what happens? We need to put on our air conditioner so that we can bear the heat. Or if it is too cold, we will have to use the room heaters. So Earth is a place, Earth is such a planet, member of the solar family, in which human beings can survive, they can live, they can have their existence. So temperature is a very important element of the Earth where we live. Water and air, alternatively, these two are also very important things for human beings or living beings to survive, without which we cannot. Be it animals, birds, human beings. So water is a very important part or an organ or an element of the Earth, which is required for living beings to sustain. Hence temperature, water, and finally air, isn't it? We require air to live. Without air, we cannot survive. If you try to stop your breath for a while, you may feel that you are choked up. Further, you cannot stop your breath. In a few seconds or probably in half a minute or so, you will feel that you are breathless and naturally you will have to start rebreathing again. Therefore, air is also a very, very important element of the Earth, which is present on the Earth. So it's only the Earth where these 3 things are present: temperature, water, and air for the sustenance of living beings, where living beings can exist or they can sustain, they can keep themselves alive. Well, so this is how mother tried to answer the question to Dhanvi. Well, generally it is believed that the part of sun which has been detached from the sun after the collision is the Earth. So if Dhanvin's mother wants to tell Dhanvin what is land made up of, she needs to tell him first of all about the Earth, and eventually we also get to know about this. So it is generally believed that how did the Earth evolve, how did it come into existence? So it is a theory where we understand that due to the Big Bang theory, the collision, that is how the sun, which is a part of the sun, was separated and it transformed into a planet Earth where we live. At the time of its origin, so when it had originated, when that part of the sun was separated and got suspended freely in the universe, it is believed or it is said that at the time of its origin it was in the form of fireball. So it was a fireball as per the theory. This fireball started to cool down slowly. So gradually the separated portion of the sun gradually happened to cool off, and that is how the Earth got formed. Many elements of the Earth got transformed into liquid, further into solid form. So it is believed, it is understood, or the theory tells us that how did this elements inside the earth come into it. So many elements of the earth got transformed into liquid. So the fire that was burning at that time got cooled off, and some of its elements transformed into liquid. It became liquid. So we can say water, and further into solid form. Some others became into solid form. Well, during this process, so when the entire process of the cooling of that part of the sun was happening, the entire process was going on. During that time, the elements which got transformed into solids are known as lithosphere. So all that transformed into solid after the fire was cooled off, when that portion became cool, it turned out to become cool. That portion is regarded or understood to be lithosphere. The elements which got transformed into liquids are known as hydrosphere. So the part of that cooling, the part of the sun which was gradually cooling, when it turned into liquids, some part which turned into liquids was named as, or it is known to be, hydrosphere. Well, hydra means water or liquid. So the sphere of water, hydrosphere. The elements which transformed into gases. So while the entire process was going on, some gases were being liberated. When the part of the sun was cooling off, some gases were being liberated, were roaming freely in the air, or they were rising up. So these gases which got released into the air, they came to be known as atmosphere. So this is how the three different spheres of which the entire earth is formulated: the lithosphere, hydrosphere, and the atmosphere. So this is how we can say the earth is made up of three spheres: lithosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. The sphere of land is called, or something that became solid, the solid sphere is called lithosphere. The liquid sphere is called hydrosphere, and the gaseous sphere is called the atmosphere. So this is how the three names came into existence. Above all, the living world which developed due to land, water and air came to be known as biosphere. So the living creatures which makes use of these spheres because of the existence, because of the creation of the three spheres, the lithosphere, hydrosphere and biosphere, which gave birth to another sphere, that is the living creatures. Isn't it? Above all, the living world, all that you see in this world which is living, be it human beings, be it animals, birds, insects, the aquatic animals, the sea creatures, anything, and the plants, everything that you see is the living world over here, the living things over here. All this together is considered or said to be the biosphere, bio plus sphere. Well, in this way, the four spheres came into existence on the earth. This is how the four spheres evolved or came to be known to people, or came into existence on the earth. These four spheres together is our earth where we live in. So I hope you understood about what is the earth and its four spheres, the name of the four spheres: the solid sphere, the liquid sphere, the gaseous sphere, and the sphere which got emerged or which got evolved, which came into existence because of the existence of the three spheres: solid, liquid and gaseous. That is the fourth sphere, the biosphere. Well, you have the image shown to you about the four spheres. As you can see, the lithosphere, the hydrosphere, atmosphere and the biosphere. You can see the portion where you see the lithosphere, you can acknowledge and understand. You will be able to witness and see the living creatures and the non-living creatures vested upon it, the houses, the huts, the temple, the trees, the man standing over there, the animal cow over there, and all this you see on this portion of the picture, which is the lithosphere. So all this is residing on the land over there. That is the sphere, the solid sphere. You can see the bus traveling on this road over here. So all this that you see over here is the lithosphere. The tractor being used in the farm over there. So the land being cultivated. So all that you see over here is the lithosphere. The land everywhere you see, the farmland, the roads, the land on which houses have been constructed, the dwellings have been constructed, the man standing, the cow standing over there, raising over there, plants being grown on it. So all this comprises of the lithosphere, the different forms of the land. The hydrosphere you see, the water body, where you see the different creatures in the water, the boats sailing in, the waves, the ripples in the water over there, the fish, the duck, and all these creatures that you see sailing. The entire portion over there you see is the lithosphere containing water inside it, the hydrosphere over there. So all the creatures that you see, the boat, the fish, the turtle, the duck, all this sailing in the water is the hydrosphere, the entire water body. The part you see in the picture shown to you, that is the atmosphere, the gases. When you don't see the gases, you have to just visualize and try to understand that gases are invisible to us. The upper portion or all the surroundings all around us, when you see, that is the question, what is around us, isn't it? So in our surroundings where we are able to breathe, contains the air. So the air contains a number of gases inside it. So that part or that portion of the, or that region is surrounding us on all sides, is referred to as the atmosphere. And we, the living creatures, the human beings, the birds, the animals, the living creatures over here, insects, and all those, we comprise of the biosphere. So we make use of the lithosphere to construct our houses, we make use of the hydrosphere to sail our boats, the aquatic animals live in it, they have their life in it, they sustain in it. We make use of the land to cultivate for our food, our necessities. So it is important for us to use it. So we, the biosphere, the living creatures, make use of the other three spheres, that is the lithosphere, hydrosphere and the atmosphere. Well, let us take an in-depth understanding about the lithosphere in today's lecture. Lithosphere, the sphere on which we live, is known as the lithosphere. So very important line, the sphere on which we live, we pass our life, is the lithosphere. So let us understand the meaning of the word lithosphere. When you separate the word lithosphere into two parts, litho and sphere, both these words are having a different meaning. So it's a compound word, we can say. You learned about compound words in English earlier. Litho means rock and sphere means layer. So if you combine the meaning of these two words, what will you understand? You understand it is the layer of rocks. Yes, isn't it? Where we live in this, on this world, everywhere you see around you, you will find land or some kind of a land form. So therefore it is said litho means rock and sphere means layer. So layer of rocks. The upper layer of the earth is made up of soil and solid materials like rock. So what is our earth made up of? Finally we are understanding about the composition of the land. What is this land made up of? What is this earth made up of? That was the question asked by Dhanvin to his mother, and while mother is replying all these things, we are also understanding. The upper layer of the earth is made up of soil and solid materials like rock. So what is the earth? The upper layer is made up of the soil or the fine dust particles or the powder, what we say, or the solid materials like rock. Approximately 29% of the surface of the earth is covered with lithosphere. So what is the part of the land that we have in the entire earth? As we earlier understood by the theory, due to the collision, some portion of the sun got separated and it started cooling off. So when the earth was formed, 29% of the earth is solid, that is lithosphere. The surface of the earth is covered with lithosphere. This layer is almost 64 kilometers to 100 kilometers thick. So this is an important piece of information, hence it has been underlined and marked out for you. So this layer, we are talking about the layer that is lithosphere. If you dig inside this, you will find, or you will be able to understand the thickness of the layer of this earth, layer of this sphere, lithosphere. This layer is almost 64 kilometers to 100 kilometers. So it varies from place to place. Therefore, we can very well say that the thickness of the land or the lithosphere is not the same everywhere. It is different from place to place. It varies from place to place. But yes, we can remember this thing, that it is starting from 64 kilometers to 100 kilometers. So wherever the land would be 64 kilometers would be rather thin. The thickness would be rather thin compared to the place where the thickness is 100 kilometers. So if you dig inside the land, you will have to go all the way up to 64 kilometers to 100 kilometers in order to reach the center of the earth, center of the sphere. Well, because a sphere has a center, isn't it? Thickness of the lithosphere is not the same everywhere on the earth. Similarly, the interior and exterior do not have identical physical features. It is mostly made up of substances like soil and rocks. So, what is this piece of information telling us? That the thickness of the lithosphere is not the same everywhere. If you go from place to place, you will find the thickness differing. It is not the same. Similarly, their interior and exterior do not have identical features. So, if you look at the upper portion of the earth, if you see at the top portion of the earth, what do you find over there? From place to place it differs. The features differ, the physical features differ. You don't get to see that the land is same everywhere, the soil is same everywhere. The color, the softness, the hardness, everything, that or the composition of that land is also different. Therefore, the interior, what is inside, if you dig inside the earth, inside the land, you will find different types of substances inside, and the substances that you procure from that is also different. The color of the soil will be different. Somewhere you find red soil, somewhere you find black soil, somewhere the soil is very moist, somewhere the soil is very hard. If you go to the desert region, what happens? You find the soil is having no moisture inside it. So, the interior and exterior do not have identical physical features. The physical features, the appearance, how it looks like. Physical features means how it looks like. Is different from place to place. It is mostly made up of substances like soil and rock. But yes, basically, what is the land made up of? Soil, the fine dust particles, or the particles, what we say, the grounded particles of rocks, and pieces of rocks. But yes, alternatively, we got pebbles inside it, we got humus inside it, and many more substances are mixed with it. Well, reading further. Landforms like mountains, plateaus, plains and valleys are seen on the lithosphere. So if you visit or if you go from one place to another place while you are traveling to places, while you are traveling from the southern part or the northern part or the eastern part of our country to different parts of the world, what do you find? The land is not having the same form everywhere. Say if you are living in a place, every day you travel from your house to other places, you may find the land is flat. But the land is not flat everywhere. The form is not the same everywhere. As you go towards the northern side, you will find hilly areas or mountainous regions over there, where the land is having mountains over there. Unlike to where we stay in Gujarat over here, we got the flat lands over here, or plain lands over here. So landforms like mountains, plateaus, plains, and valleys are seen on the lithosphere. So all these different types of landforms can be observed, can be witnessed on the lithosphere. Well, an important point, the temperature increases as we move towards the center of the earth. So this is something very important to note down. The entire sphere, as we know, the earth, and we live in a particular place. So when individual moves from the polar regions to the center of the earth, so as we know that the earth is divided into two parts, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. So if one stays in the polar regions or regions very close to the poles of the earth, you find or you experience colder climates, you do not feel so much of heat. But as one moves from the polar regions or the poles of the earth towards the center of the earth, what happens? The temperature increases. So this is an important point to remember. The temperature increases as we move towards the center of the earth. Similarly, vice versa, we can say that the temperature decreases as we move away from the center of the earth towards the poles of the earth or the polar regions, where the temperature is very, very cold. It is very, very frigid. Well, the molten rocks in the interior of the earth are known as magma. Another important point, so it is highlighted for you. The molten rocks. What is the meaning of the word molten? Molten means liquid, melted. So remember this word, the meaning of the word molten. Molten means melted. Yes, rocks are melted also. If you go deep inside the earth, if you dig inside the earth towards the center of the earth, you will find that the earth that we live on, which is solid for us, is in a liquid state over there. Therefore, the molten rocks or the rocks which are in the melted state in the interior of the earth, they have a special name. They are known by a particular name called magma. So many times you must have witnessed that a volcanic eruption has taken place and the lava is coming out from the opening over there. Well, recently we experienced it, isn't it? We heard in the news that it had erupted. Well, there are many gases present in the interior of the earth which rise up with pressure and heat. But the pressure of the rocks of the surface of the earth is equally strong. So, there are many gases which are produced deep inside the earth. Now, these gases put a pressure on the earth from within, from inside. So, there are many gases present in the interior of the earth which rises up with pressure and heat. So, it creates pressure on the internal part of the earth and it rises with great pressure and heat over there. But the pressure on the rocks of the surface of the earth is equally strong. So, what is being told to us? But the pressure on the rocks of the surface of the earth is equally strong. So, the rocks that you see on the surface of the earth has having equal pressure. Thus, balance between the two is maintained. This is how the balance is being maintained. Otherwise, there would be a great problem for us. Thus, balance between the two is maintained. So, the crust of the earth does not break. Hence, where we are living on, the crust of the earth where we are dwelling upon, where we are making our houses, where we are doing our farming and all these things, is not breaking open. It is not cracking up. It is not breaking. When the balance between the two is not maintained, so sometimes it happens that the pressure from within the earth, from inside the earth is more and the balance is not maintained. What happens? The crust breaks open, and that is what happens, the evolvement or the happening of the volcano. So when the balance between the two is not maintained, the crust breaks and a volcano erupts. Isn't it? This is a natural thing, a natural phenomena, a natural disaster that takes place on the surface of the earth. Well, Dhanvi is further asking a question. Mummy, how is the lithosphere useful to us? Where can we construct our home if the lithosphere is not there? Without lithosphere, how can we get water to drink, agriculture for food, minerals for industries and forests? So, Dhanvin, being a curious child, is further asking 3 more questions to his mother. Well, mother is not answering these questions, but we've been given an activity to do over here, that is draw a picture depicting all the details you observe on the lithosphere based on our conversation. That is what I tried to explain to you. Well, you can draw a picture depicting all the details. That is, you can draw a picture of the lithosphere, the landforms, that is a farm, or as you can see in the picture already given to you in your material, in your text. So similarly, you can draw one and make it a part of the activity and send the necessary things when you submit the fair books. An activity given to you, discuss and draw a figure as stated above with the help of your teacher. So the activity has already been given to you regarding drawing the picture of the depicting the details that you observe in the lithosphere based on the conversation. Further, we will be looking into some important information about the lithosphere with the help of the image being displayed on your screen. Well, the question is the same. What is lithosphere? The lithosphere is the rigid outermost shell on Earth. It is composed of the crust and the portion of the upper mantle that behaves elastically on time scales of thousands of years or greater. The outermost shell of a rocky planet, the crust is defined on the basis of its chemistry and mineralogy. This includes the crust and the uppermost mantle, which constitute the hard and rigid outer layer of the earth. The uppermost part of the lithosphere that chemically reacts to the atmosphere, hydrosphere and biosphere through the soil forming process is called the pedosphere. So you have a new name to understand over here, pedosphere. Let us talk about the composition of the lithosphere with the help of the image being displayed to you. The Earth's crust is not a homogeneous substance. It has different layers of rocks, including sedimentary rocks on top, granitic and metamorphic rocks in the middle, and basaltic rock on the bottom. So lithosphere's composition is not homogeneous. It is not just one single piece or one single thing. It is made up of different kinds of rocks. So different rocks together make the lithosphere. Therefore, it is not homogeneous. The Earth's crust also consists of several large dynamic tectonic plates. And further to understand, the entire Earth is not one single piece of thing. It has got different plates, different parts in it. These tectonic plates move slowly but continuously at an average rate of around 10 centimeter. So around 10 centimeter it moves, it displaces, it moves slowly but in a continuous manner. Considering this, there was no Atlantic Ocean and North America and Europe together were one continent 180 million years ago. So as per this understanding, what we can understand, what we can consider, that is, there was no Atlantic Ocean and North America and Europe together were one continent 180 million years. The Atlantic Ocean came into being because of the drifting apart, because the tectonic plates moved away from each other, and that is the reason the Atlantic Ocean came into existence or came into being, apart from the Eurasian and North American plates. So the Eurasian plates and the North American plates moved away from each other. That is the reason the existence of Atlantic Ocean took place. The next image gives you the understanding about the types of lithospheres. So there are two types of lithospheres. We have oceanic and continental. Oceanic lithosphere is which is associated with the oceanic crust and exists in the ocean basin. It means the land which is beneath the oceans. So there is not just land what we see where we live, but there is land underneath the water bodies also. That is the land underneath or the bottom, which comes in a river, in a lake, in an ocean. So the land that is right in the bottom of a water body is called the oceanic lithosphere. And continental, this is associated with the continent of the crust where we live on. We have the different continents, isn't it? Our earth is separated into, or earth comprises of 7 different continents. The part of the earth on which we live, we make our houses, we live, is called the continent. Therefore, continental lithosphere and oceanic lithosphere. The following picture shows the pictorial information about the structure of the earth. As you can see, the earth is made up of 3 layers: the crust, the mantle and the core. The details of each layer has been given to you in the picture, which you can very well see. The thickness ranging from 0 to 100 kilometers and the other necessary details given to you. Have a careful look at it. Let us now discuss each one of these layers in a bit details. The crust is the outermost solid part of the earth. It is fragile. Fragile means delicate. The thickness of the crust varies under the oceanic and continental areas. We discussed this point earlier also, that the thickness of the crust which is found under the water bodies, that is under a lake or a river or a sea, that is the basin, has a thinner crust compared to the continental areas. Oceanic crust is thinner as compared to the continental crust. The continental crust is thicker in the areas of major mountain systems. Wherever you see mountainous areas or mountainous regions, you will observe or you will come to know that the continental crust is thicker in those regions or those areas wherever you find major mountain systems, say in the northern parts of the country, or wherever you find the mountainous areas or mountainous regions. The crust is made up of heavier rocks having a density of 3 grams per centimeter cube. So here you've been given the measurement about the thickness of the crust. The kind of rock seen in the oceanic crust is basalt. The mean density of material in the oceanic crust is 2.7 grams per centimeter cube. Silica and aluminium are the major constituent minerals. Hence, it is soft termed as SiAl. So Si stands for silica and Al stands for aluminium. Therefore, SiAl, Cl. Also sometimes SiAl is used to refer to lithosphere. So SiAl is referred to as lithosphere, or when you talk about lithosphere, we just say SiAl, that is silica and aluminium. Now, after having read about the crust in a bit details, let's look into the mantle. The portion of the interior beyond the crust is called the mantle. So the layer of the earth, the layer of the lithosphere beneath the crust is called the mantle. Now this portion is a solid state. It is in a solid state. It has a density higher than the crust portion. Compared to the density of the crust, the density of the mantle is quite higher. The thickness ranges from 10 to 200 kilometers. Earlier we learnt about the thickness of the crust, 0 to 100 kilometers. The next important point about the mantle, the asthenosphere is the upper portion of the mantle. So the mantle has got the upper portion called asthenosphere. It is the chief source of magma that finds its way up to the surface during a volcanic eruption. The crust and the uppermost part of the mantle are called the lithosphere. So together, lithosphere comprises of two things: the crust and the uppermost part of the mantle, that is asthenosphere. Crust and the uppermost part of the mantle together makes the lithosphere. I hope this is clear to you. The major constituent element of mantle are silicon and magnesium, and hence it is also termed as SiMa, just like we had SiAl, like silica and aluminium. This is SiMa, SiMa. Finally, let's read and understand the core after having understood the crust and mantle. The core mantle boundary is positioned at the depth of 2900 kilometers. The place where the core and the mantle meet is called the core mantle boundary, and its positioning is at 2900 kilometers inside the earth. The inner core is in the solid state, whereas the outer core is in the liquid state. So the upper part of the core is solid, whereas the outer core is in the liquid state. The core is made up of very heavy material, mostly constituted by nickel and iron. So earlier we saw the other elements or the minerals of the earth, because we know that earth is made up of a number of minerals. Hence, it is also called the knife layer, NiFe, that is nickel and ferrous. Fe stands for ferrous. Iron has got its periodic name as ferrous. So NiFe, knife layer. So I hope the information that we just read with the help of the images would be useful to you. In the upcoming lecture, we will discuss about the other three spheres, that is the hydrosphere, atmosphere, biosphere, along with the other things that we need to read. Well, as a part of the homework, you have to write a short note about lithosphere as given to you in the material. So the entire short note is to be written by you and submitted after the lecture. Note it down. Note the homework, do it and submit it after the lecture. Hope you enjoyed the lecture. See you soon in the upcoming lecture. Then take care. Have a nice day and goodbye.